And this is Supervisor Richard Forster. Welcome to TSPN TV. We're going to do the Supervisors Meeting Report today for our meeting of Tuesday, January 26, 2016. And we had a relatively small agenda today with items that required a lot of discussion. Basically just 4 items: the Community Development Agency, State of Jefferson, again Community Development Agency, 2 transportation projects, Fiddletown Cemetery Committee. So starting off the meeting today, we had discussion on the State Route 88 corridor project. This is the improvements that are being done through the area of Pine Grove. As you might recall, originally we were looking at a full-scale bypass to go around the Pine Grove corridor. That project topping $50 million plus. The county decided to go in ACTC and assume the role of leadership in the project and downsize the project. And this is after discussions within the community. What does the community want to see? Is it primarily a beautification project, or is it enhancements? Well, the enhancements are going to be sidewalks and improvements to make it more functional, some parking that will be done and added in the city. But this discussion on this project today was for an election to hear a resolution of necessity. This is a requirement that comes down from the California Transportation Commission as to who is going to handle the issues of right-of-way and any condemnation if that is needed in the future. Condemnation or eminent domain, as some people refer to it in legalese. But what happened here is there's about 60 parcels that through the nature of the project are going to need some right-of-way assumption by the county that is running the project now. That duty rests right now with Caltrans and the CTC, or California Transportation Commission. With that, there's 24 right-of-way easements for construction, and the remainder of the first 35 that have to be approached for, it looks like a little more substantial right-of-way acquisition. But the property owners have all been notified and met with by Dockin Engineering, which was managing the project as far as the consultants initially. So within that first portion of 35 parcels that will be impacted, Dockin Engineering met with all of the owners of those properties and found no opposition, as it was stated in our meeting. So with that, Bender Rosenthal, who is the company handling the Amador County eminent domain process, requires us then to adopt a resolution of necessity for the State Route 88 Pine Grove Corridor Improvement Project. This would make the County of Amador the agency responsible for those right-of-way acquisitions and any pending eminent domain that would come out of that. Then we might have some issues with this project, though. Supervisor Plaz noted that just the day before our meeting that he had been involved in a meeting where the California Transportation Commission has been looking at their allocation of money available. Originally, that estimate was $300 million that was available. Now it looks like it's down to about $153 million, almost half of what they originally had in the State Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP funding. Because of that, there's a likelihood that the funding may well be reduced for this project, and that could reduce our allocation and our ability to perform the work on certain parts of this project. So we'll have to see if all of those right-of-way acquisitions can be made, or if they will have to be diminished, project design diminished. Maybe it'll delay the project for a year, 2 years, who knows. But that will have to remain to be seen in the future. Now, next up, we had Fiddletown Cemetery Committee. Sounds exciting, but really it's exciting for the people that have loved ones buried in those cemetery plots within the Fiddletown Cemetery. The main issue here is the question was brought up: we have an Amador County Cemetery Board. Why do we need another cemetery board to take over the functions of what the Amador County Cemetery Board does. Maybe some discussions should have taken place with them, but my feeling was that the Amador County Cemetery Board, being purely volunteer, this is non-paid, they would probably welcome the help that would come in. Those people that sit on these committees are the ones that, yes, they meet, they decide what improvements or what maintenance needs to be done to cemeteries within the county. So the Fiddletown Cemetery Committee will basically be doing the same thing for the Fiddletown Cemetery. The good thing is there's ownership here, because a lot of these people have loved ones buried within the Fiddletown Cemetery. Some of the people that applied for the position on the board were Mitch Labanco, Linda and Dick Smith, who Mr. Smith indicated they had loved ones buried there. Keith Clark, Melvin Bradley, Lorna Cowan, and Linda Blake Cooper. So you might recognize some of those names as longtime families that have lived, and some are foundation families that have lived in the county forever. Some of these people live outside of the county now, though, that are applying to be on the committee. So Supervisor Onetto asked that one line be struck from the resolution that was put before us for adoption today, and that was that the committee would be comprised of 5 people that must live in Supervisorial District 5. That line will be struck from Supervisorial District 5 because some of these people, as their applications show, live in Somerset, San Andreas, although many of them live in the adjacent area, Fiddletown and Plymouth. So these people are basically applying to be on this committee because they have a vested interest. They want to take ownership over the care of that cemetery because their loved ones are buried there. So if I was on the Amador County Cemetery Board, I would welcome their contribution of time and effort. So with that, these pioneer families that are in the cemetery, as I said, they all have relatives, and the board did pass the resolution without too much fanfare and taking that one line out. I'm sure there'll be a little bit more discussion on this, but the appointments will actually come back to the board in the future because it was not an agenda item on our board meeting on this day. We have our remaining 2 items were very lengthy and with good reason. The first item was the Shenandoah Road, Fiddletown Road Improvement Project, and this was to approve the initial study and mitigated negative declaration. The issue here, and I don't know if Tom can zoom in on this, but you have the intersection of Fiddletown Road and Shenandoah Road. As it sits now, people can go from the area of Plymouth and drive straight up, and as they come down from Fiddletown, they'll drive straight down. Very dangerous at that intersection where they meet Shenandoah Road. There is no stop sign there. It's basically a situation where people have to yield at this point to traffic going either direction. It's hard to see the traffic coming westbound on Shenandoah Road. So the issue here is, what do we do? 10 years ago, it was stated there was a project that Caltrans was going to complete at this intersection. It was fully funded, 100% funded, no county involvement at all. And what happened was some people became irate about it, approached the, and this was from Supervisor Onetto from his memory and what people have told him, but the Caltrans employees were approached on site and yelled and screamed at, and their supervisor packed up and left. So that was the end of the freebie at that point. Similar improvements were going to take place, but what do you do? Do you sit on this now? We've had a lot of public input on this day that indicated that some people felt that there was not enough outreach to the community regarding this project. The point was made by Supervisor Plaz that there were at least 3 public meetings held at the Board of Supervisors office. There was another public meeting held at the Plymouth City Council chambers. How much more do you need? You know, I just don't know. People miss some of the notices, but they're always out there, and if you're interested in it, and this has been going on for over a year now, if you're interested enough in it, you should keep tabs on when things are going to happen. I respect that people say they put their name down as interested parties and they weren't contacted, but at this point, we're pretty far down the road. And speaking about being down the road, I think that we're going to go to a break, and I'll come back and address the other two issues after the break.
You're watching